Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? And people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E.
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
What more do you need to see?
Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. There we go. Chat's here. We're all good. Big shout out to Greeners, first in chat today. Greeners, welcome. You, my friend, are here first, and clearly you've got too much time and energy on your hands. Because of that, we're going to sentence you to internet ownership. Congratulations. You're responsible for everything IP-related worldwide, or at least the problems that stem therefrom. It's all you. It's all on you. So keep it working. Fix it. Because we got a lot happening in court today, and I don't want to miss a moment of it. So we'll be coming back to the courtroom here in just a minute, just a moment, and the judge has to make a ruling on a PowerPoint presentation from Dr. Rentschler, at least the first 15 pages or so.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
Hear ye.
I think I'm about to catch a whooping.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
All right, you guys have used all the sound effects now this morning. Wonderful. Welcome back.
Kick back, taking it easy.
Hope you had a good lunch in the last 20 minutes, because that's all the time off we had.
With more experience.
Yes, we need one of those as well. Let's see. Updates available. Try tonight. How about that? Try tonight.
I'm not a cat.
Shame on you, sir.
All right. I think who said shame on you?
There's nothing in the order that restrains you from talking to cats.
Thank you.
Who said shame? Where's that from? Is that from this trial? Is that
not a camel.
Jackson? It was AJ to Proctor. Oh, okay. From the first trial. That's where it was from. All right. Can we sit in the back, pass notes to each other, slack off risk?
Somebody
Sure.
just sent me a video of roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
All right. I don't have outrageous yet. I didn't get it over. Lunch was too short. I mean,
the apocalypse
in my
may be
defense,
upon us.
I'm going to protest.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
I'm not getting long enough lunches. Judge Canoni is really cramping my style when it comes to that. All right. Let's see. Charging phone. Mine's about to charge.
I think I'm about to catch a whooping.
I'm not a camel.
The judge has ordered them to come back no later than 20 minutes to 15 minutes to at the latest. It's now 14 minutes to, maybe almost 13 minutes to, and she's not back. So
Scratch all that. Oh, that was terrible.
I think she's going to be a little late.
I'm not going to argue about semantics
Dean,
here.
you still didn't get it? Ooh, that's a problem.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
I need to get you a new cup. We'll get it replaced. Text the burner phone with your name one more time and any information you can about the order, and we'll get one. We'll get it fixed for you. I put in a request. I just have to find where the request is and what they did with it. So I have to see if they say they sent it again, because if they sent it again, you still didn't get it, we might have a shipping address error. So. I bet once the prosecutor gets to the rebuttal case, the judge would no longer feel there's a rush to say or say to the jury that she doesn't want them to wait. What's our sidebar count at? Are we at 7 or 8 right now? Megan, I got it at the end. I got it at the end of the... I put it up on screen. It was like 25 months, right? It was in the 20s. I promise I put it up at the end of the last show. At the very end. And I thought I got it before then as well, but... My secretary is busy writing checks to pay bills. May be broke by the end of the day. 25 months is practically 5 years. Yep. You missed it. Okay. I knew I got you. I've missed you before. I know that. I've missed you before. Can we get an ooh gross soundbite? Probably. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Okay, it's before that. She is so animated, she talks. Let's see.
Somebody just sent
She
me a
talks with her
video of
hands.
roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
Buffer. Not there yet. Gives a super chat for the tip, Jaw. Thank you very much. Amber, you clipped it already. I was just going to find it on the replay. 3:32:10-ish. So the problem is my replay doesn't add up the same way. I'm watching for her facial expression when she says gross. Let me just show you this real quick. Hang on. You might appreciate this. On 7. Here we go. High speed. It looks like she's doing sign language. Ready? I mean, not real sign language, but watch this. It's just so much talking with their hands. But anyway. Oh, that was a cool transition. All right. We'll find it. I've been watching that manhunt of the father accused of killing 3 children. Crazy. Ivan, sorry, if lunch was longer, I would have called you. About this particularly. My heart goes out to you. Told you we'd add you to the prayer roll. Yeah. I don't have words. I am so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. Let convey our concern, our thoughts to your wife as well. I'm so sorry for her and for you. I'd like to welcome Amy Kimball to the gallery. Thank you very much, Amy, for your support. Love the Orange Courthouse. Thank you. Appreciate Ivan.
You are unmuted.
Sharing. Ivan shares what a lot of people have similar things that I've heard in private. Most of us are going through something of some nature.
Session may be seated.
Appreciate you guys being respectful to each other, not knowing
All right,
what's
the
happening
jury
behind
is
the scenes.
coming over. I just wanted to tell you what I was able to do during the lunch break. So, Mr. Brennan, you argued for 4 points of admission regarding this witness. I'll allow in 1 and 2. I've had a chance to look at 4. I think I already told you I would not allow in 3 because I've already considered it. I've now looked at the 4th one, the case. I'm not going to let you get into that during cross-examination. If the door is open and you think you can get into it after redirect, please come to sidebar. All right, and also I had a chance to look at the actual exhibit regarding what came into evidence from Dr. Welcher and Ms. Little. Contrary to what you said and what Mr. Alessi was nodding to, page 136 did not come into evidence. It's a blank page. So that PowerPoint did not come in. I had a chance to look at Dr. Rentschler's PowerPoint. And at least for now, maybe you can persuade me otherwise, any text that has hearsay on it that you say will help assist the jury, what I want to say is I think we have to give the jury some credit here, okay? They have been listening to this case intently for weeks. I don't find that anything that you've recommended here comes in to assist the jury is necessary to assist the jury. So before Dr. Rentschler testifies, those slides that were objected to that have text are out.
Can I have a moment just to examine the Dr. Welcher PowerPoint?
No, not right now. You can look at it, yes. You can look at it while we're bringing the jury in.
Okay, because we have 4 copies of the PowerPoint, and I know that I'd like to be able to. 137 is the
Mr. Alessi, please.
One horse, one rider, she says. Mr. Alessi, be quiet.
(136), 137, and 138 are all blacked out. All right, the jurors on their way, right?
So were they were blacked out to the court and shown to the... We have to go back and look at Welcher. Oh,
okay.
Man. So, color me surprised. The breathing you're hearing is the witness. So it's a medical condition she has. It's not size. Tori, here's a note. Please order donuts. Have them on my desk by tomorrow morning. She's like, got it. Full dozen? Yeah, full dozen. Yes, this is where he starts attacking our witness, our present witness. With past reports and reviews and audits.
Court is in session. Please be seated.
All right, Mr. Brennan, whenever, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Locke.
Good afternoon.
Am I on point now?
You are.
You were asked on direct examination about your qualifications. You were a medical examiner for the state of Rhode Island, is that fair to say?
Yes, I was the chief medical examiner.
For 20 years?
12 years.
I'm sorry, 12 years. When's the last time you worked as a medical examiner?
In 2005.
When's the last time that you conducted an autopsy?
I've done probably a handful of autopsies, private autopsies in my consulting practice.
Since 2005?
Correct.
When do you think the last time you did one is?
Maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. Since you left the medical examiner's office, have you had any specialized training in brain injuries?
It's all part of keeping up with the medical literature and knowing the forensic pathology literature, reading medical literature. So it's a continuing endeavor to keep yourself educated with medical updates.
Since you left the medical examiner's office, have you had any specialized training in brain injuries?
I've not gone to a course on brain injuries.
Since you left the medical examiner's office, have you taught any students on brain injuries?
Yes.
Have you given any classes or seminars on brain injuries?
Yes, I have.
In coup counter coup, how many times have you experienced that as a medical examiner, that condition?
Well, I myself haven't experienced it, which was good, but in cases, hundreds of cases, it's a common injury.
You said you did differential diagnosis. That is to exhaust any potential bias you have, correct?
Well, a differential diagnosis is to think how many ways can you get this finding, and it does help prevent bias.
Did you say on direct examination part of the benefit of differential diagnosis is to make sure that you don't have a bias?
Yes, yes.
In order to eliminate bias, you're supposed to look at all reasonable alternatives, correct?
Yes, that's part of it, making a differential diagnosis.
So you don't just look at a person's body, come to a conclusion, and ignore other evidence. That would kind of defeat the purpose of differential diagnosis, wouldn't it?
Well, you always have to look at all the evidence.
And so if you didn't look at all the evidence and you disregarded some of the evidence because you had already made up your mind, that really wouldn't be the proper study of differential diagnosis, would it?
Right, I don't do that.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
I don't do that. I always look at all the evidence.
And would you look at all the evidence even if it was contrary to whatever opinion you want to give in court?
Well, the evidence allows me to come to an opinion. So it's not like I decide on some opinion I want to give and then look for the evidence. The evidence is going to tell me what happened to the body.
So you would never say, like, I don't need to look at that evidence. If it's presented to you, you would look at it and study it and consider it in differential diagnosis?
Sure, it may or may not apply, but I'd look at it.
Because if you did that and said, well, I don't need to look at this, and it was relevant evidence, that would defeat the whole idea of differential diagnosis, correct?
Well, you always want to look at all the evidence that's going to help you decide what happened to the body.
If you were to ignore relevant evidence because you already made your mind up, that could create some type of bias, even if you're not recognizing it, correct?
Well, I don't make my mind up. I make it up on all the evidence I have. Then if something else other evidence comes up later, I have to reevaluate everything and consider that new evidence.
When you were talking about car collisions, I don't want to belabor the point, but you didn't major in physics, did you?
In what?
You didn't major in physics, did you?
No, I took physics, but no, didn't major in it.
Okay. And the last time you took physics was probably, what, undergrad?
Correct. Thank goodness.
You have no study in biomechanical engineering?
No, I'm not a biomechanical engineer.
Understood. You never taught courses in accident reconstruction, have you?
Only in terms of looking at the injuries on the body and showing how that they could or could not have occurred from impact with a motor vehicle.
Have you taught classes in accident reconstruction?
Only as far as it would affect the findings on the body.
Do you know what I mean by when I say accident reconstruction?
Well, accident reconstruction meaning, and I'm telling you that my expertise in accident reconstruction is restricted to looking at the body and then understanding how impacts may or may not have occurred to the body. I don't take a car and look at mileage and such like that.
You don't do any studies of the actual vehicles. You're focused on the body?
I'm focused on the body, but I also look at the vehicles to look at the points of impact that might be possible.
You do not have any advanced study in biomechanics, do you?
No.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned that when you were in the medical examiner's office, you had a number of higher profile cases.
Well, every case is important because somebody's dead.
You pointed out some pretty specific ones on direct examination. Were those more important, the ones that were highlighted, or is that the same as every other case?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you had mentioned the Egypt airline crash, Station nightclub fire. Those were highlighted or pronounced on direct examination. Are they equally important as every other case?
Oh, absolutely. Every person is my patient.
You talked about some of your commendations. The Station nightclub fire, you received quite a bit of criticism on that, didn't you?
Well, there was a flurry of negative press without any basis.
You had mentioned that a doctor, a medical examiner, should have gone out to the scene to look at the area where John O'Keefe was found to make observations. Did you suggest that in any way on direct examination?
You have to know what the scene looks like, and usually that is documented in police reports and in police photographs who document the scene.
The Station nightclub fire, that had numerous victims, didn't it?
Yes, 100.
And you received criticism because you were repeatedly requested by emergency responders and police officials to come to the scene, and you refused?
That's incorrect. First of all, nobody called me to come to the scene, and medical examiners are not first responders. As soon as I got a call that there was that fire in the nightclub, my investigator went right to the scene, and I was in constant communication with him throughout the early morning hours of that horrible accident. And I went into the medical examiner's office because I had to start getting ready to run our office 24 hours a day to not only take care of the poor individuals who expired in the nightclub fire, but also the regular work of the medical examiners. So there was no need for me to go to the scene because I had my investigator there, and my job would be at the office to get things all set up to handle the influx of deceased.
Did you receive criticism that over 17 hours there was an effort to have you come to the scene, but you refused?
There was. I'm going to allow it in a different form.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
Hold on,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to scare you.
Okay.
Hold on for a second.
Okay.
Ask it differently, Mr. Brennan, please.
Did you receive criticism that officials...
I'm going to allow it based on the ending, pursuant to the ending. Let's get it.
Did you receive criticism that for over 17 hours officials were asking you to come to the scene and you refused?
It was untrue. It was printed in the newspaper. We looked up all the phone records and provided it to the newspapers and showed that nobody called me to go. I would have gone if I needed to. I had my investigator there. It was just bullshit. No, it was erroneous.
It was
stuff.
what? What did you just say? Did you say?
Was there other
Bolshevik?
criticisms in 2005 before you left the office?
No, there was a flurry of stuff in the papers. There were union issues, new director of health, new governor. So yeah, there was a little flurry of stuff, which was not substantive.
So you inevitably did resign in 2005.
Yes, because my budget was going to be cut, and I knew that if I had to get rid of a medical examiner, we couldn't do a good job for the state, and I'd done it. I'd been chief for 12 years. I'd been on call 24 hours a day for 12 years, which was an honor, really. But then if I couldn't do a good job, if we cut the budget, I had to get rid of a medical examiner. I couldn't serve the people of Rhode Island well, so I resigned.
Did you resign shortly after the audits and criticism?
No.
Same year?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Okay. After you resigned, you opened your own company?
Yes, I started an independent consulting practice.
How much of your business is consulting?
It's a consulting practice.
Yep. How much of your business, how much of your income is
100%.
consulting?
It's consulting.
Do you consult in both criminal and civil cases?
Yes, I do.
What percentage of cases are criminal cases?
It's maybe half and half.
Half criminal, half civil?
I don't keep track of it in that way, but that would be a guess.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I don't keep track of numbers of civil or criminal cases that I'm consulted in. If I had to give an estimate, it would be half and half. I've worked on over 1,000 cases in my private company.
And fair to say you get compensated for your time?
Yes, I get paid for my time.
Dr. LaPosada, you had mentioned that there were some scratches that you had taken a look at on Mr. O'Keefe's body. If we could have Exhibit 165, please. Now, would it be fair to say, Dr. LaPosada, you do not know the genesis of that cut on Mr. O'Keefe's right eye?
I do not know what caused it. I can tell you what didn't cause it, but I don't know what did cause it.
You said that was from blunt force?
It's from application of blunt force to that little area that broke the skin.
When you were asked a question about whether that was consistent with a punch, you opined that it was consistent with a punch, yes?
It could be consistent with a punch.
You weren't saying it was consistent with a punch to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, were you?
That would be within my differential diagnosis.
It could be consistent with all other types of blunt impact, or many other types of blunt impact, couldn't it?
That's correct.
Ground, perhaps?
No.
No, an object?
If it was an object that could get into that area under the eyebrow, yes.
You mentioned the spoiler on the back of Miss Reed's Lexus. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Do you know how tall John O'Keefe was?
He's around 7 foot, 5'11", I think, 7'2", something around in there.
No, he's more closer to 6'1". Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. And that spoiler on the Lexus, do you know how high off the ground that is?
No.
Did you ever try to measure it or ask for photos or any information about that?
No, I looked at the photos.
Did you ever ask for any measurements or try to take any measurements?
No.
Could I have Exhibit 166, please? Did you see this cut on Mr. O'Keefe's nose?
That's a scratch. It's not made by a sharp instrument. It's not a cut. It's a scratch.
Is there any scratches on the left side? Do we have a photo of the left side? Please. And that you say that's a scratch, not a cut?
Correct, because a cut means it's made by a sharp thing, like a knife, and a scratch is made by something that's kind of rounded that has a little point on it, but it's not sharp.
Okay. Do you have any information or basis to say where that scratch came from?
No.
Did you do any differential diagnosis on that scratch?
I don't know what caused that. There could be a number of things that caused it.
There was no scratch on the right side of Mr. O'Keefe's nose?
I don't see it, no.
Could you zoom in, Ms. Gilman? So the only scratch was on the left side?
Looks to be, that's not a good photograph because there's some blood obscuring the skin.
Yes.
If my memory serves me, there is a scratch on the left side of the nose and maybe a small scrape on the tip of the nose.
And we can go back to the left side? And you said that could not have been caused by a sharp object?
Correct. It's not an incised wound. Incised wound means a bladed, sharp cut. This is a scratch, not made by a blade.
Were you aware the defendant made a statement that she pulled a piece of glass from the defendant's nose?
No.
And you would say that that wound is inconsistent with being caused by glass or a sharp object?
It would not be caused by a blade. It could be caused by a piece of glass that was thick.
I thought before I offered you that statement, you had said that it could not have been caused by glass. Do you now have a different opinion?
I don't remember saying it couldn't have been caused by glass.
Didn't you say it couldn't have been caused by glass or a sharp object?
A sharp object.
Like
a sharp object, like it's not an incised wound made by a blade. It could be caused by something sharper that's thicker, but does not have a thin blade. So it could be caused by a thicker piece of glass.
If somebody is deceased, does any blood pressure from their heart still move in their body?
No, they're dead.
If somebody removed a sharp object like glass from somebody's face, would they spurt blood if they've died?
If you're dead, there's no blood pressure. So if you're dead and you remove something, there may be some superficial blood, but it's not going to have blood flow because your heart's not pumping blood out of the cut ends of the blood vessels.
So it's not going to spurt if you pull something out of a person's skin if they've passed?
You wouldn't get a spurt of blood from arterial pressure.
I just want to ask you a very few questions about hypothermia.
Sure.
You mentioned that Mr. O'Keefe's body temperature at the hospital was 80 degrees.
Yes.
And there's different ways to take somebody's or a body's temperature, isn't there?
Yeah, that was a rectal temperature, so that's a good representation of the body temperature.
Is the variance between a common practice of taking temperature and by somebody's mouth and rectal, is it about a 3 or 4 degrees difference, or do you have a different experience?
It can be different. A rectal temperature gives you a better internal body temperature. The oral temperature, if you're breathing in or if you just had something cold in your mouth, may not register a proper temperature. So the rectal temperature is the preferred temperature for a medical diagnosis.
98.6 is an important temperature, isn't it?
Yeah, it's our usual normal body temperature.
And so, is there a standard? Is 95 degrees considered hypothermic?
If you have, then clinically you would start to worry that the person might be experiencing bad effects of hypothermia.
At 95 degrees?
At 95, you start to worry about it.
And could some of the things that happen is labored breathing?
Is what?
Labored breathing?
What about labored breathing?
Well, if someone is hypothermic, if they're 95 degrees, does it affect their breathing patterns?
Not especially.
Okay. Does it affect the way their respiratory system works?
No.
Does it have any effects on the human body if you're hypothermic at 95 degrees?
No. You're still okay.
If that temperature continues to decline, it starts to become dangerous, doesn't it?
It can.
Mr. O'Keefe was evaluated, and at the hospital, his body temperature from a rectal reading was 80 degrees at about, 6:37?
Correct.
Did you know that before he got to the hospital, first responders had him in an ambulance?
Of course.
Did you know they turned the heat up and put blankets on him and tried to provide warmth to him before he got to the hospital?
Yes, that would be standard practice.
And that standard practice would usually add temperature to the person, wouldn't it?
Well, it might.
Okay. So it's possible it could, but it might not.
It usually doesn't add that much.
I see. And so inevitably, at 6:37, Mr. O'Keefe's body was 80 degrees?
Yes, when he got to the hospital, his rectal temperature was 80 degrees.
So that is a drop from the standard, or what's expected, of 98.6 degrees. That's a drop of at least 18.6 degrees?
Yes.
You mentioned that Mr. O'Keefe, after suffering his head injury, would not have moved other than twitching.
Correct. No purposeful movement.
Were you aware that he had an iPhone with healthcare data on it?
No.
If there's no movement, assume for a second there's no movement of Mr. O'Keefe after 12/32/16, and he's found a little after 6 a.m. in the morning. That's about 5 hours or 5.5 hours, correct?
About.
And if somebody is in the cold for 5.5 hours, that's consistent with dropping from 98.6 degrees to 80 degrees in body temperature, isn't it?
If the person is dead, yes.
If a person is outside in the cold and still alive, will their body temperature decrease?
If they can, people can die of hypothermia, but that's not the case here.
Well, not the ultimate death, but if somebody's outside and they're alive and they're lying in the snow and it's below freezing, will they lose body temperature?
They will, especially if they're not bundled up well.
And body temperature can drop from 2.5 to 4 degrees an hour?
In a dead body.
Okay. In a living person, it can drop 1.5 degrees.
No. A dead body at room temperature will usually lose body temperature at like 1.5 degrees an hour. If a dead body is in a cold environment covered with snow and avalanche environments, the dead body can cool at 4 degrees per hour.
And so a person who is in cold conditions, starting to be covered by snow, less than freezing, they can lose body temperature when they're living, can't they?
If you're sure, you can. People die of hypothermia, but that's not the case here.
Well, someone could be alive, lose body temperature, and not die. That can happen, can't it?
Yeah.
Right. So if someone is in the cold, let's assume they're not dead for a second. They're in the snow, below freezing, not moving. Can that person lose body temperature if they're still alive?
Sure. They just lie there. They can become hypothermic and die.
Even before they become hypothermic, can they lose body temperature?
Well, losing body temperature makes you hypothermic. Thermic is temperature and hypo means below. So your temperature goes down and you're hypothermic because it's going down.
And people can survive from being hypothermic if they get the right care.
Sure.
And so in that 5.5 hours, it is consistent with a person being outside in the cold and starting at 98.6 and ending at 80. That's consistent with being in the cold for 5.5 hours, isn't it?
For a dead body, yes. That's how a dead body would cool in a snow-covered cold environment.
And it could also be consistent with somebody who is alive for some time and then dies, correct?
I don't understand your question.
Somebody could be out in the cold, under the snow, sub-freezing. They could be alive for some time. Their body temperature could drop. And then when they pass and die, their body temperature could continue to drop probably at a more rapid pace. That still fits within 5.5 hours, doesn't it, Dr. Laposada?
No.
Oh. Okay. Because if someone can drop 4 degrees of body temperature in an hour...
A dead body.
Yes. It would only take about a little over 4 hours if it was at 4 degrees to go from 98.6 to 80. Yes?
Correct, yes. So he was exposed to that cold environment for 4 to 5 hours.
If somebody was alive for a couple of hours, it's a lower rate. Say they lose 3 degrees. And then, after that couple hours, they lose body temperature at 4 degrees. That would still fit and be consistent with a drop from 98.6 to 30 degrees, to 80 degrees, wouldn't it?
No, you were saying a dead body cools in a cold environment at maybe 3 to 4 degrees an hour, and that has nothing to do with a living body and how long they can stay at a body temperature.
Do you disagree that somebody could be alive, lose body temperature, out in the cold, freezing temperature below 32? They could lose body temperature at a certain rate, then die, and then continue to lose body temperature. Is that possible?
Anything's possible. It's just what's important is what happened in this case.
I'm asking for your medical opinion, though, rather than to be an advocate. As far as your medical opinion...
So sustained, and I'll strike that.
As far as
Dr.
your...
Laposada,
Yes.
could you listen to the question, please?
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor.
As far as your medical experience, could somebody be alive, outside, in the cold, below 32 degrees, not moving, covered by snow, still alive, and lose body temperature?
Sure.
And then could they, after an hour, 2 hours, could they then die and continue to lose more body temperature?
Sure.
You mentioned your opinion about injury on Mr. O'Keefe. And at one point you said that his injury was inconsistent with a taillight, and you said because there was no damage from the bumper. Do you remember saying that?
I don't think I said it quite that way.
Okay. Do you remember how you said it?
No.
Do you remember discussing or raising the issue of a bumper as part of your equation, that the injury to Mr. O'Keefe was inconsistent with the injuries?
He has no injuries on him that are consistent with being hit by the back of the SUV. That includes the spoiler, that includes the bumper.
Okay, if we could play video E, please. I want to ask you, Dr. Laposada, have you seen this video before?
No.
Thank you. You can take that down. Did you see anything in that video that would suggest any contact between that mannequin and the vehicle's bumper?
Objection. I'm going to see you at sidebar on this for just a minute, please.
Sidebar number, who's counting? 8? Is this 8? These no sidebar days sure are going so much faster without the breaks. Glad we made this switch to this new streamlined procedure. Number 9. We're on number 9. Thank you, Red. What are you passing around back there? Who's got the candy? Do you want one? What are they, like giant Tic Tacs? Do you want one? Oh, no, thank you. How about you? No. Quit offering me candy, stranger. Okay. All right. It's gum. Ice break gum. Oh, no, that's tempting. You know I'm going to buy that next time we go to the gas station. Even if you're a stranger. Ooh, candy. You guys are terrible. You all would have been abducted had you been, raised in an area where that was a thing that happened. You'd all fall for the trick. Some stranger needs you to help find some lost puppy. You'd be like, oh, sign me up. Can I replay? I can't find it yet. I can't find it. I think it's this one. It was right after lunch. I come back. Let's see if this is it. 7. Let's see if this is it.
You're in physics, did you?
Okay, ask him differently, Mr. Brennan, please.
Did you receive criticism that officials...
I'm going to allow it based on the ending, pursuant to the ending. Let's get it.
Did you receive criticism that for over 17 hours officials were asking you to come to the scene and you refused?
It was untrue. It was printed in the newspaper. We looked up all the phone records and provided it to the newspapers and showed that nobody called me to go. I would have gone if I needed to. I had my investigator there. It was just bullshit. No, it was...
Okay, that was all. Yeah, that's what it was. It was just... Where's your Starlink mounted? Does it need to be on your roof or no? Making the switch this month. It needs a clear view of the sky. And so if it's, by clear view, think wide peripheral vision. The wider the view, the better signal you're going to get. So it does help to be on a roof or on an elevated pole, especially if you have like trees around your yard or something like that. I put it on the roof of my car and it works well unless there are trees that grow over the road. All right. So there, you got your replay of the BS. The BS comment behind her hand. That was good. No, they did not give Mr. Brennan everything he wanted. He only got 2 of the 4 approved, but the third was out. The fourth one, if he feels the door is open, he can go to sidebar and bring it in. So it sounds like the fourth one's coming in too. Long sidebar. What is it? 9? Did we say we're on 9 now? How do you properly account for the pace of sidebars? Is it are they counted at per hour? Is it a per capita thing? Like do you compare it to number of sidebars a day per number of jurors in the room, or I don't know. No sidebars means less than 10, so now we're done.
All right, so jurors, I am going to strike the last bit of questioning of this witness and the video as it goes to this witness. All right.
Ooh, defense won that one.
Dr. LaPosada, after you received materials, did you ever ask for any additional materials?
Let's see. I always make sure I have all the scene investigation, autopsy, medical records, police and witness investigate and witness statements. So I felt I had a pretty complete database. I didn't get the X-rays until a couple weeks ago, so that was delayed.
That was newer?
Yes.
You said a medical examiner has to make a determination in 90 days. Is that the rule?
When you work in a medical examiner's office, when you get a deceased in, our national standards want us to have the autopsy report completed and all the associated tests done within 90 days.
Can investigations occur and the additional accumulation of evidence happen after that 90 days?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. LaPosada.
Whoa. He's left a tease for Mr. Jackson to open the door to that last issue. Mr. Jackson should be pretty much done. This witness has been good. I don't think he needs anything else. Other than the X-rays.
Dr. LaPosada.
Hold on one second. Jurors, when I strike something, that means disregard it. And what I've struck through this witness, the video that you just saw and some of the testimony means that if it's in evidence, it's in evidence, but it is not part of your consideration with this witness. Okay.
That was a
All right,
question
go ahead,
from a
Mr.
juror?
Jackson.
May I proceed? Thank you. Dr. LaPosada, you were just asked a series of questions about body cooling, correct?
Yes.
Does a body, as it's cooling, does it know if it's indoors or outdoors?
No.
If there's a very cold environment, be it indoor or outdoor environment, would it still cool?
Oh, absolutely.
And it would cool would it cool at the rates that you earlier described?
Yes,
Even if indoors, if that indoors was cold?
absolutely.
Your Honor, may we approach along with the Commonwealth very briefly?
Number 10. Number 10. Wow. I'm trying to see if that was actually a juror question there at the end. Let me back up, back up. Okay, so that. Okay, let me see if I can show this here while they're still up at sidebar. Sound off. Mr. Jackson gets ready to go talk. A bailiff right here is headed up with a paper in his hand. Do you see that paper in his hand? Right. Well, I'm not sure if that is a paper. Looked like he had a paper there, but now it looks like the floor. So no paper in his hand. He just goes up. And at that point, Mr. Jackson looks over to that side of the room. Okay, so he's looking over where the bailiff is, passing the message up. He wants to start. And then the judge gives this instruction instead. So it looks like the question came from the jury about what does it mean to strike something. I was in the way. He couldn't see. There was nothing in his hand. I thought it was something, but it was just it was the little white box on the ground. So yeah, this is similar to let's see, the case we had where the jury returned a verdict and then afterwards they found out what unanimous meant, and it's not majority. I think the question specifically was, when you struck that evidence, are you also striking the video from when we saw it originally? I think that's what the intent of the question was. She's been striking these things for a month of trial days, and they just now like, what does that mean again? Somebody needs to edit the doctor saying it's BS. Into what? I was in the way. I can show you again if you want to see. I mean, they're taking their sweet time. So here's the replay. We back up. This is in reverse. I'll even be off the screen for this. Mr. Brennan finishes his question. Sorry, I'm choking on something. A bug or something. Delicious. All right. Mr. Jackson goes to go back to the podium. A bailiff comes from the bottom left corner of the screen. I'll get rid of the text again so you can see. See that white article of clothing, coat, bag, whatever it is, box on the bottom? Bailiff comes right up there. I thought that this right here was a paper in his hand. It's not. But he goes up there. He walks up on that side. Mr. Jackson wants to start. Says, may I begin? Looks over, glances over at that side of the court where the bailiff is talking to the judge. Judge says, hang on. He steps back. Judge gives an instruction. Any questions? In fact, my right eye choked on a piece of dust or something, and my right eye is watering incredibly. But I get choked up on slow-mos. They're, oops. Now I'm way over here. I'll fix it. There we go. I'm back. This is sidebar number 10 that's going on right now in court. It was supposed to be very brief, and the judge was not happy about it. Brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it, though? Something about 30 frames a second slowed down to be about five frames a second is just, gets me emotional. Oh no, you're getting kicked out of your VPN? Or you need to upgrade your VPN. AV Gear chokes me up. I tell you, I've got a sweet spot in my heart for cables, I can tell you that much. What was it about? The thing we approached let's see, right now was right here. Let's listen. Let's listen into how this ended, how we got here.
Earlier described?
Yes,
Even if indoors, if that indoors was cold.
absolutely.
Your Honor, may we approach along with the Commonwealth very briefly?
So I clearly heard a sigh that time that I didn't hear last time, but they're coming back right now. So here we go. Here we go. Oh no, they're not. That was the replay. There's a sigh. We'll need to count. That'll take us up to 275 on the counter. If you need to see it, just to authenticate that I did in fact count it. There it is. 275 on the siren counter. Something about bodies cooling off in the cold, and if they're going to get to go into it. He's trying to get the garage basement pictures in. I think those were already ruled out. They were ruled out when the investigator who took the pictures tried to present them, and every time that she's talked about having seen the pictures and considered them, that's been stricken. It's been objected to and stricken. Sue says a court officer spoke to the judge, and then she explained what a strike means. But the officer came from the juror box, basically. The guy is the one who watches the jurors on that side by the podium. Let's see. Is Proctor on anybody's witness list? He was on both witness lists, both for the prosecution and defense, but he will not be called. If they do, it'll be like a jaw-dropping surprise. It's supposed to be a brief sidebar. Very brief. Move to reconsider Rensler slides and curative statement regarding the back of the hoodie. Is that a new document? Is that what you're saying? Sue from court says some of the jurors who have regular friendly or pleasant looks on their faces aren't looking that way now. Interesting. We're just sidebarring and chilling right now, waiting for a decision about, I guess, the decrease in temperature. And maybe if the garage was cold, or I don't know how she would know. Go back.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. LaPosada, stand back here for a quick second. Before I sat down the last time, I asked you a little bit about x-rays.
Yes.
And the effect of x-rays on an evaluation by a forensic pathologist. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Are x-rays important for a forensic pathologist to consider?
Yes, they are.
Did you find any? You reviewed the x-rays, correct?
Absolutely.
I'm going to relegate my question to just the right arm of John O'Keefe.
Yes.
Did you find any deformities, defects, breaks, fractures, or hairline fractures of that kind on any of the x-rays that you reviewed?
None.
May I approach you on?
Yes, I have a question for you. When you printed these, did you print them from a flash drive?
Did you print this from a flash drive? May I have them look?
Sure.
I have some assistance with this.
Do you have them up on the...
We do have electronic versions of this.
Why don't we do that instead of the big, the large...
As long as I can mark the large ones, I want those marked and moved into evidence for reasons that we discussed at sidebar.
So those will be, you're objecting to this, Mr. Bennett? Okay, well, even if the Commonwealth objected, I'll allow those in, but I'd prefer to give the jury a flash drive with these on them instead of these big. So we will mark your flash drive, and you can just go ahead, do it in evidence. We'll mark the flash drive. The flash drive will go in with the jury rather than these very cumbersome additional pieces of paper, and you can go ahead and show them.
If I did, or I don't have a whole discussion in open court.
All right, jurors, we're going to make this one really quick.
11 sidebars now. Mr. Jackson's like, no, I'm not cool with that. I want the big. I printed off the posters. I'm going to use the big posters. If they're going to be in evidence, his argument is pretty simple. If they're going to be in evidence, I should be allowed to show them, period. And they're going to be in evidence. Your preference as to what we want to show the jurors, no. In is in. He should be allowed to show them. Yes, I'm loving these sidebar. It has been so much smoother. Just the flow of the court has been so much better. I'm tempted just to write a thank you letter to the judge when the case is over and just thank her for the sidebar free days. Who would have thought that this was a possibility, that we could just have trial and have the questions and answers and just streamline it. The jury must be like, thank you for no sidebars. It's been beautiful. It's been wonderful.
Yes.
We've had more sidebars today than any other day. He wins. Now she's mad. Oh, she's mad. She wants to spin her chair around and not look.
I'm going to show these to you, and then I'll put them on an overhead. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you recognize this document?
Do you have a bigger one?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
I recognize it by the medical examiner identification of Mr. O'Keefe, and I recognize the x-ray of the right hand, the right wrist, the right femur, and I can also tell by the R designation here that that's the right side of the body.
Is this what you reviewed in coming to your opinions and conclusions concerning injuries to his right hand?
Yes.
Thank you.
So these now will mark whatever the next exhibit in A, B, and C.
A, B, and C, yes, Your Honor.
HHH is now 229A.
4H.
May I approach you?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I need to wait. May I approach?
Yes.
Judge is doing her deep breathing exercises.
Sure.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is a X-ray of the body of Mr. O'Keefe from the medical examiner's office. The R indicates the right side, and we see here the two bones of the arm. There's no injury to them. We see the pelvis bone. There's no injury to that bone. They're perfectly normal, and there's no abnormal soft tissue swelling. It's a normal right arm.
Thank you. Let me have this marked as next to order.
That may obviate the need to put it up, right?
It could.
The 229B.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. Doctor, do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is another X-ray at the medical examiner's office of Mr. O'Keefe. And again, it shows the right side. We see some of the ribs there. We see the shoulder and the humerus, the upper arm bone. And the upper arm bone is totally normal. There's no soft tissue swelling around it. There's no breakage or microfractures.
Thank you, Doctor. With the court's permission, next in order, sub C is in Charlie.
Yes.
C.
Dr. Laposada, that's all I have for you. Thank you for coming.
Anything, Mr. Brennan?
No, thank you.
All right, Dr. Laposada, you are all set.
You're all
Thank
set.
you, Your Honor.
And now we're back ahead of schedule.
All right, is there anything else today?
May I have a moment?
Yes.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Please, jurors, feel free to stand up and stretch.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Your Honor, can we go for an even dozen? Can we just... okay. I tried to use the slow-mo machine. I saw a note being passed from the judge to Tori, and I did a little zooming in. It appears, and I may be wrong on this. I may be completely wrong. It's very faint. It's hard to read anything on it, but I'm pretty sure if I squint just right, it says. It appears to be a haiku. It says, "Jackson's voice grates here. Smirking charm test my patience. Courtroom peace he breaks." Not sure what that means. Just kidding. She did not write a haiku. It'd be funny if she did.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask the court to invite Dr. Andrew Richler to join us.
Okay.
Dr. Rentschler is coming in. And we just work back to get the joy of that call again.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask the court to invite Dr. Andrew Richler to join us.
Okay.
We just wanted to have the judge approve twice. All right, Arca back in the front and center.
you to step up, face the court, and raise your right hand, please.
You solemnly swear that you ever skip the court and jury in the case down hearings for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Good afternoon.
Oh, Your Honor. It's fine. It's fine. Feels good.
Feels good. It's fine. It's fine. It feels great.
All right, Mr. Jackson, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, could you please, pull that to you. You're a little on the tall side. Pull that to you right up under your chin if you can. And in a nice, clear voice, tell the jurors your name and spell your last name for us, please.
Dr. Andrew John Rentschler, Rentschler.
Sir, what do you do for a living?
I'm a biomechanist, a biomechanical engineer, and an accident reconstructionist.
Where do you work?
I work for a company called ARCA LLC.
Tell us a little bit about ARCA. What is ARCA?
ARCA is an engineering consulting firm. So we do litigation type work, both civil and criminal, where we look at, for instance, I do biomechanics, so I look at injury causation in different types of events, motor vehicle accidents, pedestrian, automobile incidents, sports-related injuries, industrial accidents. We also do accident reconstruction, as well as all types of really forensic type engineering. And we also do R&D, research and development, for private and governmental entities.
What's your current title?
I'm a vice president and director of biomechanics for the Midwest Division.
The director position that you hold, that's the official position at ARCA?
That's correct, yes, sir.
How are you ARCA's senior biomechanist?
I'm one of them, yes.
And how long have you held the position of director of biomechanics and human factors?
It's been at least 5 years. I don't recall exactly how long.
What exactly does is it biomechanist or biomechanist?
Biomechanist, yeah.
All right, I'll get it right by the time we're finished. What is a biomechanist? What do you do?
So a biomechanist really looks at the human body, and we look at the response of the human body to forces and accelerations. We apply traditional engineering, but to the human body. So a mechanical engineer, for instance, might look at a piece of steel, and you know the dimensions and size of the steel. If you apply a force in a certain direction with a certain magnitude, that steel will bend and eventually it'll break. Was a biomechanist or biomechanical engineer, I do the same thing, but I look at the human body. How much force has to be applied in what direction to get a specific type of injury, whether it's a fracture of your humerus, a concussion, intervertebral disc injury. Any type of injury has what we call an injury mechanism. So we look at the response of how the body reacts to forces in different environments. Ultimately, our hope is to actually help prevent and mitigate accidents. You know, motor vehicle incidents, we look at the design of airbags and seatbelts, sporting equipment, how can we reduce concussions and injuries associated with that. So ultimately, we try to figure out how to make the environment and the world safer for people in whatever type of interaction you might have.
Is that sometimes called injury causation analysis?
It is. That's one aspect of it. Injury causation analysis is looking at how an injury occurs. So if someone sustains an injury, as a biomechanist, I can look at the events surrounding that incident and determine how the injury occurred. Now, how someone was positioned, how much force had to have been applied to certain parts of their body to actually produce a given injury.
Why is injury causation analysis important in the broader field of biomechanics? Why do you want to know the causation of certain injuries?
Well, like I just said, our main goal and interest is to really mitigate and prevent injuries from occurring. So in order to do that, you have to know how they occur. You have to know, for instance, hockey, we do a lot of work with the NHL, how certain injuries occur, cervical injuries, concussions, shoulder injuries. So if your intent is to prevent injuries in certain settings and situations, you have to study how the body reacts, how those injuries are created, and then you can determine or attempt to determine how to prevent them from occurring in different events and situations.
What sort of contracts or commissions does ARCA routinely engage in?
You know, we have a number of different contracts. We've worked in the past with the United States military. I helped design what we call the energy-absorbing seat for the MRAP vehicles.
Hold on 1 second, Dr. Ashley.
Sure.
Okay.
For the MRAP, which are the mine-resistant, ambush-protected, armor-plated vehicles that they had over in Iraq and Afghanistan. And the issue there is that when they go over an IED, an improvised explosive device, it would blow the vehicle up off the ground. So we were seeing very severe accelerations and forces going through the vehicle, through the seat, into the soldiers' spines. And we're seeing severe spinal and head injuries as a result of that. So we worked with the military to design what we call an energy-absorbing seat design. As the vehicle gets blasted up off the ground, the seat's designed to absorb that energy and that force from the blast and the movement of the vehicle and help protect the soldier's spine. We also, as I said, do a lot of work with the NHL. We work with the Department of Player Safety there, the National Hockey League. We look at the equipment, we look at helmets, trying to help prevent concussions, skate guards, how to prevent cuts and injuries due to the skates. One of the big things we did was actually redesign part of the rink. It used to be at the player area. At the end of the player area was a 90-degree stanchion of plexiglass. And what was happening was players were getting checked into the boards at the player area and then slamming up against the glass. And they were sustaining head and cervical injuries. I've mentioned before, it was actually the Boston and Montreal that caused the NHL to take a look at it, the hit of Chara on Pacioretty. He sustained a concussion and a cervical fracture. So they gave us part of the rink to the Winter Classic, the outdoor contest, and we used crash test dummies, hybrid 3, 50th percentile male dummies, and threw them into different configurations of glass. And ultimately, the new design that we developed is a curved piece of spring-loaded Lexan or plexiglass. So now when the players get checked into the boards, it absorbs that impact and they glance off of it. And it's helped prevent and pretty much mitigate any type of head or neck injuries as a result of player interaction at that part of the rink.
Hockey players tend to be pretty big guys, right?
They do, yes.
You said you used the 50 percentile hybrid 3 as a crash test dummy, an ATD, to do your work in furtherance of the NHL contractor commission, correct?
That's correct.
Did you need to use a hybrid 3 that was the same size as these big, tall, 6'4", 230-pound hockey players?
No, not at all.
Why not?
There's a 95th percentile male dummy, which not many people have or use. The 50th percentile male is basically the gold standard for crash test dummies. And you're probably most familiar with it if you see automotive manufacturers and the ads on TV where they put the crash test dummy in the car and run them into walls and flip them over. Well, they use the 50th percentile for all of those tests. And then they scale the actual injury assessment reference values to different size people. So they record the force off of that, and they might say, well, for the 50th percentile average person, you can sustain 180 Gs of acceleration to the head before you see a severe injury. And then they'll scale that and say, well, the hybrid 3 has to record, say, 300 Gs before someone twice that size gets hurt. So you just use one size dummy and then you scale that to whatever size person you're looking at or you want to actually investigate.
Is that undertaking of mathematical scaling, is that an industry standard in biomechanics?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's set forth in NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. They set, well, the government sets the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, and that's all the crash tests that vehicles have to go through. And during those tests, they have to ensure that the values on the dummy, on the head, on the neck, on the spine, on the arms, are below certain values to ensure that they're safe at specific speeds. And they scale. They have certain papers, a lot of papers actually, which talk about scaling the values for different size people.
Is that an accepted methodology in the scientific community?
Oh, it certainly is, yes, sir.
Dr. Rentschler, do you specialize in any particular research and analysis at ARCA to evaluate the relationships between crash injuries and crash forces?
I do, yes.
What about kinematics?
Kinematics is one of the specialties, yes, sir.
Fancy word, probably nobody knows. I didn't know it before I met some of the folks involved in this case. What does kinematics mean?
Kinematics is just motion of the human body. So it's looking at how the body moves in different situations. Whether you're in a vehicle and it hits a wall, how does your body move? It moves forward. Will it load into the seatbelt? Does the airbag deploy? Or if you're a pedestrian and you're struck by a car, how does the body move as a result of that interaction? That allows us to look at the loading to the body. Forces are exerted on someone's body because their body's loaded by different objects or different forces. So kinematics is one of the first steps. If you're going to look at injury causation, you have to determine the kinematics of an event.
What are human tolerances?
Human tolerance is really just looking at how much force it takes to cause an injury. So there's been generations of testing to look at different forces. For instance, the humerus, the upper bone in your upper arm. How much force does it take to cause that fracture? They've tested the cadaver bones. There's a lot of research for decades out there looking at different parts of the body, the ulna, the radius, the two bones in your forearm, skull fractures. Almost any type of injury, again, has an injury mechanism, and in order to determine how it occurs, we have to look at tolerance. How much force can the body withstand before you start to see a specific injury occur?
Doctor, how long have you worked at ARCA?
I've been with ARCA now for about 17 and a half years.
How many cases have you been a part of in terms of investigating or conducting crash injury analysis?
Over my whole career, probably thousands of cases. I've been doing this since 2004, so for about 21 years total.
Dr. Rentschler, are you able to estimate how many of those cases that you just talked about, those potentially thousands of cases, have involved motor vehicle pedestrian circumstances?
Oh, I'm sure over the year there's been hundreds of cases. A lot of them are motor vehicle accidents, but certainly a large percent's automobile pedestrian type impacts.
What education, training, and background qualifies you to perform the duties that you just told us about as the Director of Biomechanics and Human Factors at ARCA?
Well, I got my BS in mechanical engineering with a minor in biomedical engineering from Carnegie Mellon University in 1995. I then went on to get my master's in bioengineering and biomechanics from the University of Pittsburgh in 2002. And then I got my PhD in bioengineering and biomechanics from the University of Pittsburgh in 2004.
2004. Thank you. Are you a member of any professional associations associated with your field?
I'm a member of SAE, the Society of Automotive Engineers, as well as the American Society for Mechanical Engineers, ASME.
Are you also a reviewer for an outfit called Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation in Biomechanical Engineering?
I have. I've done peer-reviewed articles for those journals before, yes, sir.
When you say peer-reviewed articles, you're the peer reviewer?
That's right. If you want to submit a scientific article to a journal, you'll write that manuscript and then submit it to the journal, and then they'll send it out to other experts or peers in that same field, probably 3 others normally. And then they'll review that transcript, send it back with any suggested revisions, and then usually the author will make changes, send it out again, and that's how it gets accepted. Usually it goes through several different iterations before a paper is actually published.
Have you received any additional training following your PhD, formal training or otherwise, in the field of biomechanics?
I have, yes.
Describe some of that for us, please.
Throughout the years, I've taken classes through the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, as well as SAE, as I said, Society of Automotive Engineers, and at different universities, Virginia Tech, different seminars and classes with respect to biomechanics.
Is that normal to, even for someone at your education level, a PhD, to take continuing education to stay up on issues in your field?
It is. You take continuing education and then also just working with your peers. And when you work in a certain company, for instance, at ARCA, we don't do just litigation. We do the research and development. We have an epic sports branch at ARCA where we look at sports performance of athletes, how to help them perform better, whether you're a baseball player or volleyball player. So it's really the experience and the work that you do that also helps keep you up to date with technology and the different aspects of that field.
Does some of that additional education include biomechanics of high-impact injuries that was offered by the NTSB?
That's correct, yes.
Methodology and techniques of crash data retrieval offered by IPTM?
Correct, yes.
What is the IPTM?
That's the Institute for Police Technology and Management. It's actually a school down in Jacksonville, Florida, that offers basically vehicle crash reconstruction and biomechanical classes.
What about human factors in traffic crash reconstruction, also offered by the same outfit?
Yes.
Did you take a course in automobile safety and injury biomechanics from, is this the one from Virginia Tech?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Did SAE offer a course in injuries, anatomy, biomechanics, and federal regulations?
Yes, that was in Detroit, I think, where SAE is based.
And you took that seminar as well?
Yes.
What about vehicle accident reconstruction methods offered by the SAE?
I've taken that class before, yes.
Linear momentum analysis offered by CAARS?
That was, yes, in a class out in California.
Motor vehicle accident reconstruction offered by SAE?
I've taken that class as well, yes.
Advanced collision investigations out of California law enforcement?
Yeah, I believe that was a 2-week class I took. That's the introductory class that they give to the sheriff's department and police officers out in California.
And what about the post-collision passenger vehicle inspection and seatbelt analysis offered by CARS, C-A-A-R-S?
I've taken that as well, yes, sir.
Have you published in peer-reviewed articles and book chapters? You said you were a reviewer. Have you actually published yourself along with you and your colleagues?
I have published, and that was mainly when I was in graduate school, doing graduate work. I worked at the Human Engineering Research Lab. We helped people with disabilities, so we looked at people in wheelchairs, manual wheelchair users, looked at the forces acting on the arms, how to help reduce injuries, rotator cuff tears, carpal tunnel syndrome, things such as that. So I did publish primarily when I was in graduate school at the University of Pittsburgh.
When you were in graduate school, approximately how many publications did you participate in, either yourself or with colleagues?
Probably 10 or 12 papers, and then some abstracts, and I believe a book chapter as well.
Have you been qualified in other courts to testify as an expert in the area of biomechanics and accident reconstruction?
I have, yes.
Approximately how many times?
Oh, I've testified throughout my career probably over 150 times in both state and federal courts throughout the country.
I want to talk to you for a second, Dr. Rentschler, about how you began working on this particular case, the case that's before the bench. When were you initially retained in connection with this case?
We were initially retained, I believe it was for the first trial. It was, I believe, maybe it was the fall prior to that actual trial. That was last year.
All right. When you were, by the way, initially, were you hired by the defense?
No, we were not.
Were you hired by the Commonwealth?
We were not, no.
Was that a separate agency that hired you?
It was, yes.
It wasn't an insurance company, was it?
It was not, no, sir.
Okay. What were you initially asked to do by this separate entity?
Initially, we were kind of constrained in what we were asked to do and to review, but we were asked to evaluate whether the injuries sustained by Mr. O'Keefe were consistent with being struck by the Lexus.
And who at ARCA was assigned on the team to undertake this commission?
There was myself, Dr. Dan Wolf, and I believe Mr. Scott Klein was another engineer who was involved.
And did all three of you join in the analysis that ultimately ended up in a report that you authored, or the three of you authored together?
We did, yes, sir.
What materials did you review in furtherance of your initial consultation in this matter?
Obviously, I looked at the medical records. We looked at photographs of the vehicles, information about the vehicle, photographs of the actual incident scene, various information pertaining to the Lexus itself.
You know who Dr. Dan Wolf is?
I do, yes.
Is that the other person, the Dan Wolf, the Dr. Wolf that you just mentioned?
That's correct, yes.
Did you and Dr. Wolf look at basically the same set of information? You were provided the same set of information?
We did, yes. We were provided a tranche of information that all three of us looked at, yes.
Can you explain the difference between your area of expertise and Dr. Wolf's area of expertise? I don't want you to get into his analysis, just what area he covers. In other words, you're dealing with a Lexus and a pedestrian, Mr. John O'Keefe, correct?
Correct, yes.
What's the difference between the analysis that you undertook and the responsibilities of Dr. Dan Wolf?
So Dr. Wolf really concentrated looking at the vehicle itself and the damage to the vehicle, the damage to the taillight, which is really the only damage we have to that vehicle. And so his analysis pertained to evaluating the force associated with producing that damage, what's consistent with causing that type of fracture and damage to the taillight itself. Whereas My part of the investigation was really looking more at the injuries and looking at Mr. O'Keefe and his kinematics and his alleged or any interaction between him and the vehicle, and whether that would be consistent with his injuries as well as the damage that we see to the Lexus as evaluated by Dr. Wolf.
Did you ultimately issue a report, an initial report summarizing your opinions and your conclusions following your analysis?
We did, yes, sir.
About when was that report issued?
I believe it was sometime in February.
February of what year?
It would have been February of last year, 2024.
2024, okay,
correct.
Thank you. Were you able to provide an analysis, given the information that you had, were you able to provide an analysis for the biomechanical aspect of the analysis of the case?
I was, yes, sir.
All right. Did you review medical records and other materials?
I did, yes.
Did you make note of anything with regard to Mr. O'Keefe's injury or injuries based on what you reviewed initially when you began your analysis?
I did, yes.
Can you describe what you noted in terms of Mr. O'Keefe's injuries?
There were really just two basically different areas of injury. There was injury to the head. There was a laceration on the rear kind of right occipital region of the head, which resulted in fractures, an occipital skull fracture, which is the rear part of your skull, as well as basilar skull fractures that propagated up through the skull. And then there were injuries which were noted or diagnosed to be superficial abrasions along his right arm.
What is a subscapular hemorrhage?
Subscapular is?
Yes.
Yeah. With respect to the head, is
yes.
that what? Yes.
As it relates to the head.
Yes. Well, so when we talk about there's subarachnoid, there's pia hemorrhages, but basically they're hemorrhages, and scapular is hemorrhage under the scalp, but above the skull. So subdural is within on the surface of the brain, but scapular means that it's a hematoma or bleeding that occurs under the scalp but above the actual skull.
Did you note subscapular hemorrhage in your analysis of Mr. O'Keefe's injuries?
There was, yes, I believe there was extensive subscapular hemorrhaging.
What about skull fractures?
There were, as I described, occipital skull fracture in the back of the skull that then propagated forward, the calvarium as well as the basilar or the base of the skull.
You mentioned subdural hemorrhage as one of the issues that you would look at normally. Did you note whether Mr. O'Keefe suffered from subdural hemorrhage?
He did, yes. He had sustained subdural hemorrhage as a result.
And also subarachnoid hemorrhage?
Correct, yes.
What about bilateral orbital ecchymosis?
He did, yes, bruising along the eyes, basically.
What does bilateral mean? Both?
Bilateral means left and right, correct.
Did you note a 1 centimeter or approximately 1 centimeter laceration to the upper right eyelid?
There was, yes, 1 centimeter, yeah, and so, that's a little less than half an inch laceration right above the right eye.
What about abrasions to the anterior and left aspect of the nose?
There were some abrasions on the nose, and then I believe a few lacerations as well.
Laceration on the right anterior tongue?
The tongue was lacerated, yes.
You noted, with regard to one of Mr. O'Keefe's extremities, abrasions along that extremity.
Superficial abrasions, that's correct, sir.
Describe which arm we're talking about and what part of the arm.
It was the right arm. And it was from the forearm up towards the top of the shoulder. And there were various abrasions that were diagnosed as superficial abrasions along that kind of posterior aspect of the arm, the elbow, forearm, and the upper arm.
When you undertake an analysis, do you use biomechanics and kinematics both to try to evaluate whether or not a specific set of injuries are consistent or inconsistent with a proposed set of facts? Or I guess I'll just leave it there, a proposed set of facts.
Yeah, I mean, those are basic steps to look at how an injury occurs. I mean, first you have to identify the injury, and that's by looking at the medical records and determining what the diagnosed injuries are. And then you have to determine the kinematics and the kinetics associated with a certain event. So how did the person move? How was their body moved? Did they interact with anything? And how did that result in loading or force being applied to the body? Those are basic steps of a biomechanical injury causation analysis.
How did you go about undertaking those steps in this particular case?
So in this particular case, we looked at how those injuries are actually produced or created. So occipital skull fracture, you need a sufficient force. You need a force of around maybe 1,400 or 1,600 pounds applied at the back of the skull to actually cause a fracture like that. The abrasions, superficial abrasions, and an abrasion is basically rubbing or scraping or friction that kind of scrapes away the top part of your skin, the epidermis. You have the epidermis, the dermis, and then the hypodermis. An abrasion is just gets into the top epidermis and doesn't get any farther. Laceration is an actual tearing or ripping of the skin, usually down past the epidermis into the dermis. And so that takes either a blunt object or a sharp edge, depending on whether it's an incision or laceration, to actually produce that type of an injury.
Did you look at patterns of injuries on Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes.
Did you also, the other side of that handshake, did you also look at damage to the vehicle, physical damage to the Lexus?
We did, yes. Our goal or what we were tasked with was to determine whether the injuries are consistent with the damage to the car. So clearly, you look at how these injuries are created, what injury mechanism you need to produce them, and then you look at the damage to the car. Can you line up contact between where those injuries occurred and how they occurred with damage to the vehicle?
What kind of materials did you review, in addition to, I'm guessing, photographs?
Photographs, yes, autopsy photographs, as well as photographs of the vehicle and the damage to the Lexus.
What about medical records, hospital records, things of that nature?
Absolutely. That's the first step, looking at the injuries to find what the injuries are, what are the diagnosed injuries, as well as it's important to determine what injuries don't exist, because that's also helpful in determining whether certain impacts may or may not have actually occurred.
Did you receive a full file from the medical examiner's office in this case?
I did, yes, sir.
Did you also receive police reports, follow-up reports, witness statements, things of that nature in this case?
We did, yes.
Did you receive any data concerning the vehicle itself, contained either in police reports or follow-up reports or expert reports?
We did, yes.
Mr. Jackson, I'm just going to ask you to slow down
I'm
the
sorry.
cadence of your voice a little bit.
It's late in the day and I'm doing it again, aren't I? I'll slow down. I forgot where I left off, but let me ask you sort of openly, was there anything else that you considered and analyzed in at least building a database from which you would build an analysis?
Well, yeah, I mean, we review all the materials that are provided to look at all the injuries, to look at all aspects of the vehicle, damage to the vehicle, information about what the vehicle may have been doing. Any other evidence that may help contribute to looking at what either caused the injuries or what may or may not have caused the damage to that vehicle.
When you and your teammates undertook this analysis, did you even know who we were?
Initially, we did not. No, initially, I personally didn't know anything about the case, and we were asked not to do any research or to look up anything about it. We were given certain parameters, certain information, and that was it.
Did you follow those instructions?
I did, yes.
The undertaking, the analysis that you did, was it in keeping with the accepted methodology or methodologies in your field of engineering?
It was, yes.
Did you ultimately reach some opinions and conclusions based on that initial investigation or analysis?
I did, and we did it at ARCA, yes. Myself, Dr. Wolf, and Mr. Klein did.
Did you reach any opinions or conclusions with regard to the force required to produce the occipital skull fracture that you noted with Mr. O'Keefe, his head being struck by the rear tail lamp of the subject Lexus?
I did, yes.
Tell me what those opinions and conclusions were.
Well, again, we determined by looking at research and tolerance values that it would take about 1,400 to 1,600 pounds of force to cause an occipital skull fracture. Now, we were tasked with looking at, again, could that result from impact with the car? So one of the things we did is we took a head form, a head from a dummy basically that's instrumented with accelerometers, and we dropped it onto a taillight cover to attain a speed of 15 miles an hour. And so that would be comparable to the vehicle striking the head at 15 miles an hour. And I concluded a few things from that. A, that the force wasn't sufficient, or the acceleration wasn't sufficient to produce enough force to cause a skull fracture at 15 miles an hour. And also, when you look at the position and configuration of the occupant, it really wasn't possible to get a skull fracture by hitting the taillight and not sustain any other significant fractures. For instance, where the taillight's positioned to have an impact to the back of the head, you really couldn't have someone positioned in such a manner to strike just the head and not have subsequent concomitant injury to the neck or any other part of the body. So my findings with respect to the skull or the occipital skull fractures was that it likely did not occur as a result of contact, specifically with the taillight cover on the rear passenger side of the Lexus.
So as to the question of whether Mr. O'Keefe suffered the occipital skull fracture as a result of being hit by the tail lamp at 15 miles an hour, were you able to scientifically rule that out?
I was, yes, sir.
Was that to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
It was, yes.
Did you reach any opinions or conclusions regarding the abrasions on the right arm that you noted earlier on Mr. O'Keefe's body?
Yes, I believe my conclusions with respect to the abrasions are that it was inconsistent with contact to the tail light, and that not only that those injuries are inconsistent, but you would expect additional injuries, likely fractures to the hand and or the forearm, depending on the actual speed of the vehicle.
Other than the expectation that you would see fractures or other damage to the arm, what was the basis for your opinion that the linear abrasions would not result from impact with a non-damaged taillight traveling in reverse?
Well, you have to look at the kinematics associated with that. And that in order to get just superficial abrasions, that doesn't take a significant amount of force, but essentially that to have an arm contact the rear of the car, and we weren't really given any theory of how the arm contacted the car. So initially, we weren't privy to any theories or allegations of how this may occur. So just generally speaking, looking at the arm, how it would contact the car, and subsequent movement and interaction with the light cover, my opinion was that the injuries would be inconsistent, or the injuries that Mr. O'Keefe sustained on his right arm and didn't sustain would be inconsistent with actual interaction with the taillight.
Doctor, were your opinions and conclusions, along with those of your colleagues, reduced to a report?
They were, yes, sir.
Was that report, to your knowledge, ultimately turned over to both the defense and the Commonwealth in this case?
To my knowledge, it was, yes, sir.
I'm going to change gears for a second and bring us forward to the spring of 2024, after February of 2024, moving into the start of 2025. Did the defense at some point reach out to ARCA and contact you and Dr. Wolf?
They did, yes.
That was back in 2024 after the spring, correct?
That's correct, yes.
At some point, did the defense engage you specifically to testify?
Yes.
This year?
This year?
This year, meaning
yes.
This trial?
For this trial, yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Were you asked to conduct further testing in furtherance of your potential testimony in this trial?
We were, yes, sir.
And were you provided additional materials from the defense in furtherance of your potential testimony and your testing?
We were, yes, we were provided additional material with respect to, yes, the theory of how this may have occurred and how Mr. O'Keefe may have sustained his injuries, allegedly.
Included in the materials that you were provided in anticipation of your testimony in this case, in this trial, were you provided anything from a company called Aperture?
We were, yes.
What were you provided from Aperture?
We were provided a written report from Aperture, a PowerPoint presentation, about 140 some pages from Aperture, and then a file material, I believe what was reviewed and the results of some testing that Aperture had conducted with respect to this case.
Was it your understanding that the Aperture PowerPoint was authored by a particular individual?
Yes, sir.
Who authored that PowerPoint as far as you knew it?
As far as I'm aware, it was Dr. Judson Welcher.
Your Honor, may we approach briefly?
Okay.
Number 13. 13 in the books. Here we go. Somebody do the math for me, just on the distance they've walked today. How many steps is that? It's a lot of sidebars. It's a whole ton of sidebars. The funniest part is yesterday the judge said, today, no sidebars. Jurors, don't worry, tomorrow we won't have any sidebars. Just a baker's dozen. Objection, you mentioned Welcher. He's going to ask permission to see if he can go in and talk about this. I think they get to. I think they get to a little bit. We'll see how much she allows. It's always nap time, Magistra. There's never a bad time to take a nap unless you're driving. If Karen's found not guilty, will the family still sue? Will they still sue civilly? Probably. Look at O.J. Simpson. Didn't he win his criminal case and lose his civil suit? Yeah, these are not the sidebars you're looking for. "13 sidebars today. That's just nuts. We've had more sidebars than sirens. Saturday Night Live character, but I can't place it. What golf announcers do they have on Saturday Night Live? No, I don't think Karen can sue the state. There's levels of immunity there. The church lady. I sound like the church lady. The feds did investigate this case. We're hearing about it right now. The feds hired ARCA. That was the FBI. Hoslong. We've been at sidebar about half the day today. The feds are not pursuing this case currently. All right, just reading chat here. Sorry. Great stuff. Sidebar continues. OnlyFan continues to spin. We are at 3:33 actually, which means we only have half an hour left until we'll be done for the day. No more breaks. We'll have sidebars possibly, but no more breaks for the jury. We're just pushing right through from 1:45 till 4. So we're doing the whole 2 hours and 15 minutes with no breaks. And we are very, very close to the end of this case. As a matter of fact, this might be defense's last witness. Is that what we're hearing? Last witness? Why did the FBI get called in earlier, and by who? The FBI.
That was about scheduling. We picked up a lot of time today. I think it was because we did spend less time at sidebar and less time doing things outside your presence. So we're back on track, and we're going to let you go for today, and we're expecting a full day tomorrow. I can tell you, the lawyers tell me that we're definitely winding down. Okay, so please, those same 3 cautions: do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And please continue to be very careful with your social media use. So we'll see you ready to start at 9 o'clock.
Wow. As they're leaving, let's just listen one more time to what you just said.
So jurors, that was about scheduling. We picked up a lot of time today. I think it was because we did spend less time at sidebar and less.
What? Less time at sidebar. We spent less time at sidebar. The jury's like, we were here for most of it, right?
Being seated.
We had, 14 sidebars?
You're all set, Dr. Rensler. I should
you.
have told you. I'm sorry. So we'll see you tomorrow morning as well. So, okay? Thank you.
Let's
right.
fight out these last issues. What do you got?
So first of all, anybody object if I give Ms. McLaughlin back the paperwork on the State of Rhode Island versus Michael Patino transcript or whatever she was giving me? Any objection to that? All right. Thank you.
Get that off my desk.
All right. So, Mr. Jackson, for purposes of your edits, so the text will be removed from 5, 6, 8, 9, 23. The word measurements, I think, is perhaps the only word there. 24, 31, 32, 33, 34, 46, 47, 54, 55, 56, 58, 67, 68, 69, 71, 72, 73, 74, and 75, and 76.
26 pages.
Separately, pursuant to what will be an upcoming evidentiary ruling on whether foundation has been made, if you could separately have a way to exclude, if it becomes appropriate based on whatever ruling, based on the foundation that you're going to attempt to put, slides 9 to 23. Now, as I said to you at sidebar, once you do this, or if you talk to the Commonwealth, if there's no objection to some of those numbered slides that I said needed to be edited, if the Commonwealth agrees that they come in, you can go ahead and put them in, because I would allow them if it's by agreement.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. So do you expect that we will finish with Dr. Rentschler tomorrow?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Brennan?
I don't think I'll be as long as I was with Dr. Wolf.
Okay.
Depending on how it goes, if he has an hour and a half, I expect I'll probably be about an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. And then we'll figure out where we are Thursday. It seems that the case may be ready to go to the jury Friday, maybe Monday at the latest. But does that seem like a fair estimate to you, Mr. Brennan?
I think we'll be ready Friday.
Okay. All right. So we'll see. Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Yes.
Should I have Dr. Welch in for tomorrow or wait for Wednesday?
Tomorrow's Wednesday already. Can we, Mr. Jackson, can we reevaluate that mid-morning or the luncheon break and see where we are, whether we need Dr. Welcher here in the afternoon?
Of course.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
I think Mr. Alessi had one issue he wanted to address the court.
Yes, Your Honor. With regard to various exhibits that Your Honor said would be admitted based upon the issue that we had with regard to the Exhibit 88, Your Honor said you would...
Yes. We'll put those into evidence.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was the only item pressing for today.
Yeah. I said yesterday they'd come in. They're coming in. Okay. So those will be in evidence. Mr. Brennan, you were on notice yesterday that I was letting those in. Okay. All right. We're all set. We'll see you tomorrow.
All rise for the court, please.
That's part of the motion Mr. Alessi
Goodbye.
made. Goodbye. We'll see you. That we read as part of the motion he made about those exhibits, the pictures of the back of the jacket showing no cuts. She's like, we'll bring him in. We'll bring him in. We'll show the jury later. We'll tell them right before jury instructions. We're like, oh, by the way, there's some pictures that show that he was a liar. But let's get as much time between when you heard Mr. Brennan make the allegations these holes were caused by road rash or falling or something else, and when you actually hear that he lied. Let's space that out so that you don't make any sort of connection that would somehow prejudice you against the Commonwealth. Let's do that, shall we? What do we have? 14? Was it 14 sidebars? Was that our total? Amy Kimball, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. You're one of us now. You can never leave, but you knew that. You've got an orange courthouse. You've been here. You've been one of us for a while. All right. RA sarcasm? No. None. Let's see. Yep. What would a day with a lot of sidebars look like? If it had to be more than 14. If 14 was none, and 14 is like, wow, we saved so much time because we didn't have sidebars. How many sidebars would you need to have to make more? Look at your text. Let's look at my text. Hang on. Trying to see it here. You sent me the picture of the taillight? Which one did you send me? You put the lime in the coconut. How many sidebars is a bad day? Look what it says. I'm looking. It's tiny. I can't see it. Aperture, lacerations on John O'Keefe's arm and forearm, Lexus impact. Post contact. Spell it out for me. Make it grow. I can't zoom in because of it comes across WhatsApp. I can't make it much bigger, or else it just goes away. Are you excited to get out and use your bike? My kids are. They're waiting anxiously. They've come in like 3 times today. When will you be done, Dad? When will you be done? Can we ride the e-bike? We need this trial over and get to a new one. I think everyone agrees on that one. Should I get WhatsApp? Did I say WhatsApp? I meant Google Voice. WhatsApp would be better. The judge made them take out PowerPoint commentary, and this one has words on it. That's because what's good for thee may not be what's good for me. Wear a helmet. I make my kids wear a helmet when they ride, even if it's just on grass. Yeah, and I'll probably wear a DOT approved. None of this Snell stuff. I'll probably wear a DOT approved helmet, like a motorcycle helmet, if I ride this on the road. What's the next trial? Corey Richards, maybe? Well, if we can find out when Corey Richards is. All right. I don't get to ride the bike, Flower Cottage. I don't get it. No, I am going to wear it. And because I have to use this bike in as transportation while I'm filming a period documentary from the early 1800s, my bike helmet has to have like a cowboy hat brim. So I'm going to get like a bike helmet, cowboy hat combo. It's a funny thing. It's going to look great. Anyway, a Snell is the best safety rating. I'm not going to do just the bicycle rating. I'm going to get a motorcycle rated helmet. Let's see. It wasn't just commentary. It was literally saying John O'Keefe was hit. Yeah, both sides have been doing that. None like it. I know that we saw that from the defense as well earlier on. They had some funny labels on their pictures. Are you going to dress up your bike as a mule? No, I might wrap the Pucky Puppy label though, because I've got a neoprene wrapper around the battery just to protect it. Because you know he's going to test out that 61 miles per hour. Yes, I am. Yes, not full 60, but I can see myself doing 35 to 40 on that bike comfortably. I've ridden motorcycles a lot, and I've ridden bicycles a lot, even down very, very steep inclines. I've ridden my bike down roads where my friend got pulled over for speeding on a bicycle. It was a 35-mile-an-hour road, so we've done some fast runs. All right, wear a strong helmet. I will, and I'll be very cautious. I give up. What did you say? I missed it. I missed it. I missed it. I can't see it. I have responsibilities. I'll be very careful. I'm not a thrill seeker. Okay, I don't do skydiving. I don't do crazy things. I mean, I don't go on roller coasters. I'm not that guy. I'm not out there chasing the adrenaline. I'm not a speed demon when it comes to that. So, love to ride motorcycles, though. Did I miss anything in the last 10 minutes? What sidebar did you leave on, Kim? Because we were up to 14, so you might have missed 2 sidebars, maybe. Yeah. No motorcycles till kids are 18. This is different. I turn it down. I turn down the power. I turn down the aggressiveness on the bike, so how fast it like tries to jump out of your hands and accelerate. And I can turn down the top speed when my kids ride it. So, what are the highlights today, Kaylee? Today the highlights are probably everyone is sort of on their last nerve in this trial. The jurors are on their last nerve. You've got all the lawyers they've had enough. They're like, we're at our wits' end. Okay, the judge is like, we're trying to speed this up. Everybody is just like riled and keyed up. They're ready for this to be over in a big way, and it will be here in a matter of hours. But everyone's just fully keyed up and ready for this to end and under a ton of pressure. And so the arguments have been spicier. It's been really good from the get-go. Today was a really good day that way. So. I've loved it. It's been wonderful, and I can't wait to hear some of the analysis that we get from Ian Runkle, Rob, Peter Tragos, Emily D. Baker's obviously given hers. Just great stuff about that, and some decisions still have to be made. One of them is a pretty big decision that might impact how the defense can share information or retell the events that happened where Mr. Brennan was trying to manufacture evidence in court, possibly knowingly. That still has to be decided. All right, Amber, drive safe. She's got the outro tonight. When you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone to make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning around 8:30 to 8:45-ish. Depends on when in the morning my kids will be done riding the bike. Because we do that in the morning and evenings now. Wow. Have this turn into a half a day. No. We're done. This is the full day. And my kids are here. It's time to go. They're putting on the bike helmet as we speak. All right, you guys, be good to each other. Thank you very much. I've got a couple people to call. Let's see. Ivan, I owe you a call. And Deanie, I need to get with you as well. So, all right, be good. We'll see you guys in the morning. Have fun. Bye-bye.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.